Alright, figure 1. You add a sphere, generate UVs, set the shading to smooth. Now you have to create a material and set every texture one by one. Well, why not automate it? So create the material, select the material from your folder and corresponds to here. Okay, data, common, textures, and here is every material. Select the material, press init. Oh, and there you have it. The entire node tree has been generated. Good. We have some options here. You have scaling, because of course, right? So instead of having to manually scale the UVs, you can just do that. Very useful. You can change the material on the fly. Okay, see? So you decide you want to use some other textures, some other set of textures. You can just do that, and you can change the mapping. Okay, so maybe you don't like working with UVs. Okay, so you can do that. And of course you have the wild seams there, and so I have provided access to the blend. It's just a shortcut to the compositor, right? Here it is. There. Okay. So, simple enough. Figure 2 now. Suppose I want to add a new material to the collection, then maybe I don't want to put it over here on common. Okay? It's not a common texture, it's very specific. And so we make very specific. We go in, we say textures, and let's see. Here I have some wood. I'm just going to copy the albedo because I'm going to show you something cool. And we say wood 0. Okay, we copy the albedo. Alright, up to there, fair enough. Now, will it show up? Very specific wood. Okay, but we cannot press init, not just yet, because we do not have the required textures. So figure 3, in order to generate these additional textures, first off we need to go to our folder here, very specific, textures, wood, and please do this. Set name of the folder underscore albedo. Okay, do that, follow me. Now we go to MATMK. Okay, this is another tool that I've created, and here we have the same option. Okay, common, that's the folder, goes data, common, very specific, we go to very specific. Inside very specific we have textures, wood, and here it is. And we can see here, you can see the albedo, a generated normal, generated rough, metallic, and emit. Emit is inverted, by the way, or it should be. Yeah, it is inverted. Okay. Anyhow, now the way these sliders work is not intuitive at all. I have to admit it. Now I'm going to try and explain it, so put some attention, okay? Or pay attention, whatever. You have height. What does height do? It represents a middle point in the, let's say, like brightness. You utilize this to generate from the color data a height map which is then converted to the normal here. Okay, then you need a threshold. This is kind of like the height slider, but for the roughness, and so it will consider whatever's above this is softer, whatever's below it, no, whatever's above it is rougher, whatever is below it is softer. Okay, so you can play around with this. Usually you utilize very small values, and that's okay. Alright, now softness. Softness, it just softens it. Okay, I can show it with the rough. Okay, you put this, wait up. Okay, here you have something that's sort of rough, okay, sort of rough, a lot of white, a lot of gray actually. You slide up the softness and it darkens, it becomes softer until you darken it so much it is all black, all soft. Intensity, self-explanatory, okay. You punch it up and your normals explode. Utilize low values for this as well. And finally the rough modifier. It's sort of a multiplier, a straight up multiplier for the roughness values. Okay, so you can soften, roughen, soften and roughen. Okay. Now, this is a wood material, but because it makes sense for me to demonstrate the metallic and emit, I'm gonna do it as well. Okay? You go albedo. It's the same thing for the both, so I'm just going to explain the metallic. You pick a color, okay? Bing. Now go metal or emit, whatever, and give it a base value. Sometimes you need to punch this up a little. Not so much. This is weird. Ah, there we go. Okay. You have tolerance, which stands the non-metallic colors more metallic. Because this texture is mostly the same color, you know, it just says, oh, it's all metallic. That's why you need to punch up the color a little, punch up the value. Again, if you work with small values, that's usually better. Where were we? Ah, fuck me. There we go. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah. You need to work. You really need to work with low values here. So I will make that adjustment sooner or later, someday. But anyhow, once you have your set of textures set up the way you want them, you go here. You gotta bake. But before you bake, this is the final size, okay? This will be the final size that your textures will have. This here scale, what it does is it enlarges the texture at render time and then it shrinks them back to the final size, okay? So it will start with this size, multiply it by this, you get this, and then phew, it smalls them so you get anti-alias, right? Let's bake this. Okay, so then it shows you here baking normal, baking AO, combining into ORM, which are these funny little yellow and green and purple textures. It gives you a curvature map. It's a kind of curvature map that I invented, don't pay it no mind. And let's look at it. We were very specific textures, wood 0, and let's see it. Okay, stop messing with me, man. Alright, so we have normal, ORM, which are metallic. That will be the blue channel. I'll show you in a minute. Any other curvature. Okay. Alright, and so figure 4. Now we can finally do the thing where we pick our wood material and say init. Okay. And because of the metallic, this doesn't really look like wood, okay? But, you know, there's worse things in life. Anyhow, since I said I would show you what each thing means in those purple maps, in the ORM maps, I'm gonna do that. What you do here, you separate RGB. Okay. You take R, that's the ambient occlusion. You take the G, that's the roughness. Okay. You take the B, and that's metallic. Okay, so suppose suppose now we decide that we don't really want a we don't really want a wood texture that has metallic. Okay, we really don't. So we combine the ambient occlusion with the roughness. We leave the metallic at 0, and we connect to ORM. Okay, and there you have it. You know, it's not the best material I've ever done in my life, but if I utilize a sphere, I love spheres, man. Let's smooth it. Okay, yeah, that looks a little bit better. Anyhow, I'm gonna show you the curvature since I'm at it. So separate RGB. Oh, and by the way, the alpha value on the ORM map is the emit. This inverted, so it will be black actually. And now the curvature. Okay, the red will give you like the insides, you know, the insides. I think it was, yeah, like the parts that would accumulate dust. Here are the parts that are more exposed. I think it was. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I told you I invented it, so it's not very good. And here is a straight up sort of smooth curvature thing. And please God forgive me for showing you this. I'm gonna go into the insides of the shader. Yeah, okay, I will never do that again. But here is the red value of the curvature. Okay, right up. I'm gonna. No, that's okay. If I put this to 1, you see it brightens. If I put it to 0, you see it darkens. Okay. For here, this is the whitener. You see? It takes like the parts that are upper and it brightens them. It's, you know, subtle. It's very subtle here. Here you can see it. Okay. It's very, very subtle effect. I just, you know, like for detailing and shit. Okay, see? Weep, weep, weep. And it goes here. It bumps it up. Anyhow. Just do 5, 3. Yeah, I think these are the values I use. Doesn't matter, I'm not gonna save it. But okay. And yeah, and finally the smooth curvature is overlaid on top. Okay. Which, you know, maybe you don't like it, so you can, you know, play around with it. That is the point. All of the materials utilize the same shader, so that if you disagree with my math, you can just whip, go in here and change things, right? Well, there's a lot of things to change here. A lot of things. Oh, as a final note, this here Velvet. Because, you know, it's a thing that Velvet kinda does. It gives you this minuet-like bright on the edges thing, you know? Well, I like to put it a little bit of this on every material. It's nice because, you know, everything has Fresnel. So, yeah. Maybe I should call it Fresnel, but I like Velvet. You know, it sounds soft and and nice. Yeah. And actually, you know, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into making the maps for this one, but you know, I like it. It's kind of cool. It is kind of cool, right? Maybe the roughness map should be retooled a little, but it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Okay, side note, maybe what the red value on the curvature was doing was not entirely clear, so I'm gonna change this to subtract so you can see it. Okay. See, you subtract nothing, nothing happens. You start subtracting, you can see, you can see, you can see, you can see. See how they start getting redder and redder and redder, and right, you see it darkens. Now you see it darkening generally because there's all of these crevices and stuff, but it will darken mainly in these areas, right? Now the trick to that is you have to find a height value that will take the darker sections of the albedo map over the brighter ones over here. You know, it's just what it happens when you generate normal maps from albedo. You know, just saying. Anyhow, if you keep increasing, you see, well, until it's completely black. But you know, if you leave it at like there, you can see the blacker parts. These are the most vibrantly red on the curvature. So anyhow, just thought I would demonstrate that. If you leave it on multiply, it's so subtle you really can't see it very well. See, but see how the crevices here, whip, whip. Let me zoom in there. Okay, you see, whip, whoop, whip, whoop. You see it? Okay. So 3575. Yeah, I think that's the fault. And actually, behind the scenes, I went in and redid the roughness map, so it looks a little bit nicer now. The specular is not so strong now. Yeah. Okay. Isn't that nice? So, anyhow, thank you very much for watching. Here are some of the materials that I've made utilizing these tools, you know. These were mostly the ones I utilized to test the shader. I'm still touching things here and there to make sure everything is alright. Yeah. You know, just nice little materials. And here we have them. Isn't that nice, man? Also ignore the GPU latency. That's just how do you call it? The B-Sync being annoying. If you disable it, that's much better. Let's see. B-Sync. Get the fuck out of here. And there you go. Alright. So yeah. Thanks for watching. And all of that.